Hello again, welcome back. We've got a Saga battle report. It's been a while, but I've managed to make some river, done some bridges, so I've got no excuse now to do a battle at the ford, and that's what we start with. So here's the setup. I'm using Anglo-Saxons this time. We're doing a 4-point game. I've spent my 4 points straight onto warriors. My opponent's Jomsviking. He's got 3 points of warriors. 2 of them is one group on the left-hand side there with his warlord behind. 4 men turned into Danaxes, and behind them a warrior unit. So my opponent goes first. He just basically moves his units up. That's all he does. This is a quick shot here of his warlord. I'm just going back to this shot again, just to explain how Saga works for generating of dice in my turn. I have 3 warrior units there, plus my warlord, so 1 each for the warrior unit, and 2 for my warlord, so that gives me 5 dice. So there's my 5 dice laid out. At the moment I'm going to play that top right hand side called the third. That allows me to roll, for the cost of that dice, roll 1 dice for each of my units of 10 or more. I have 2 at the moment because one of mine's taken casualties due to the Viking ranged ability, the Jomsviking one. So yeah. So after that I end up like this. As you can see, there's 2 colours on the charts there. The grey ones on the left hand side, they're basically your movement ones, basic activation pools. You can use them more than once, so you can move units multiple times. And your other abilities are 1 use only per turn, as per game turn. And their costs are, as you can see there, laid out. If they've got a plus there, it means you need require both dice. Otherwise, it's either or of the other options. So with my movement actions, I move my units up across the bridges. Use my Hearthguard's free action. My warlord gets 1 free action and can activate a unit within a certain range of him. He uses that to start moving over to the right hand side there, and pushes the unit next to him over to the left hand bridge. I'm pretty sure my 2 large units of warriors can hold off the Hearthguard unit and the warlord, while on the other side I think I'm going to struggle, so I'm going to send my warlord over there to help out. So after all my movement, that's how my board looks, and I can now use these abilities in my opponent's turn, because I'm sure to be engaged in combat here. It's just a quick shot of the left hand side of the bridge and the standoff there between Hearthguard and warriors. And on the other side of the bridge, his Hearthguard unit with Danaxes go into my warrior unit. So the first thing you do is generate the amount of dice you got. My opponent would have 8 dice, 2 for each Hearthguard unit. I get 1 per warrior. Excuse me, I have 10 dice. And then my opponent can choose to use an ability. I think he used 1 to gain 2 attack dice. And I myself will look at my battle board, see what abilities I want to use. I choose to use Defenders of the Realm, which is that middle one there, and leave my battle board like this. So the Defenders of the Realm allows me to roll 2 additional attack dice, or I could have 2 defense dice, and then it also gives me the ability, if I have 10 or more men, to gain another 2 attack dice or defense dice. It's a fantastic ability for the big units of the Anglo-Saxons. So I think I'm up to here 12 dice. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yep. I'm rolling against my opponent's armor, which would have been 4. It's 5 normally for Hearthguard because he's got Danaxes. He's down to 4. So I rolled hit and hit with an almighty 2. You then take the hits scored, and your opponent tries to cancel the hits. In combat, hits are cancelled on a 5+. My opponent hit with all 10 of his attacks, so I have 10 dice here, and I also had 2 dice I saved back from the Defenders of the Realm battle board ability. So I have a total of 12 dice to try and cancel 10 hits on 5s. So out of my 12 defense dice, I managed to roll 3 6s, so I cancel 3 hits, which means 7 go through. So at the end of the combat, I managed to lose 7 of my warriors and only killed 2 Hearthguard. That was a really bad round for the Anglo-Saxons there. So after the combat, the loser breaks off and falls back S, small, and both units that took part in the fight gain a fatigue. Fatigue are used to by your opponent to help them in combat or to slow your troops down when they're moving. So my opponent tries to finish the job and throws him in again, because his previous action was a move or a shoot action. He gains another fatigue, so he's got 2 fatigue coming into here. I've got 1. So 3 warriors give me 3 attacks. And over here, I decide to use the combat pool ability, which allows me to have 1 extra attack or defense dice, and I go for the attack dice to try and kill these guys off. So that was the bottom left. And after the combat, I used his fatigue. He had 2. I used it to raise my armor by 1 and lower his by 1. And he then used the one against me to raise his armor. So his armor's standard hitting on 4s, and my armor's been raised by 1, so he's hitting me on 4s. End result, I managed to get 1 of them. He didn't get any of me. So he falls back, and we both gain a fatigue. Over on the left hand side, he then throws his Hearthguard in against my warriors. But with a bit of luck, I only lose 3 warriors, and he loses 3 Hearthguard. So that was a pretty good fight. In the case of a draw, the player that charged has to break off. And back over on the right hand side, he then uses his ability to move in. I think he's moving quite a lot because he used the ability to choose whether he gains 2 wrath or he can move 2 units. So I just let him move 2 units. So he moves these warriors back into my warriors just to try and cancel them out and stop me having some Saga. And he kills them pretty easy with only the loss of 1. So he will gain a fatigue for fighting me, and that's it. So this is how the boards are looking as I go into the start of my go. He's pretty much broken through on the right hand side there. I'm just going to use my warlord to try and stop him. The Anglo-Saxon Brettwalder ability is fantastic for this. That should keep my warlord alive. And on the left hand side I seem to be getting the upper hand here. I'll keep the pressure on there and should be able to win through there. So I dashed my warlord across, 1 free move and then paid for a move from to get into combat. I didn't use my Brettwalder because at the end of the day only, I think it's 4 models, maybe 5 models within the 2 inches of the guy in base contact, so he had 5 attacks. 5 attacks, hitting on 5s, I'm going to raise my armor anyway with his, and he'll try and cancel it, so he's hitting on 5s. I should be okay. Warlords always ignore the first hit, so you effectively need 2 wounds against him in 1 round of combat. And my warlord does his thing, kills 2 for no damage to himself. Over on the left hand side, I used the remaining warriors to charge his Hearthguard. I'm not too worried about losing warriors in this, so I just want to reduce that Hearthguard down to a manageable size. They've got some fatigue on it, I have 2, so I think we both use them to keep our armors high. And after the combat, I lose 3 warriors, and he loses his remaining 5. It was a perfect combat. I think I had my Defenders of the Realm up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, and probably the Stout Hearts as well. As how it ends up, though, the enemy warlord got a fatigue marker because the enemy was wiped out within medium of him. That's why he's got a fatigue marker now. So at the moment we're looking at this. I really like this scenario. It's quite a bloodbath. Not so sure if I'd like it so much being Welsh or something, but I'm enjoying it thus far. So over here he charges his warriors into my warlord, and this time I used Brettwalder. I kept it on especially for this because he had Saga abilities to get some extra attacks on that. And Brettwalder gives me +1 armor and also allows me to reroll defense dice, I believe. And again, my warlord manages to beat him off. 2 kills against nothing for me. So ideal. So far so good. I think he used an ability here to move my troops S, pushing them further away from his warlord so his warlord can cope with the guys that he's already surrounded with. And yeah, that was a bit annoying. His warlord charges in here. And neither of us suffered any casualties, we both rolled pretty bad. And going into my turn, it's looking like this. I'm pretty happy so far. I think my warlord should be able to deal with these warriors over on the far side there, thanks to Brettwalder. and if I can get my troops moving back up again, I should be able to get them across the bridge relatively easily. I have to say, I think my warlord was on fire for this game, because he charges into the warrior unit and wipes them out, again surviving that. Foolishly, for some reason, I decided to charge my 4 warriors in against his warlord, but after just seeing what my warlord did to 3 warriors, they don't really stand much of a chance. This is a bit of a faux pas again on my side. I should have moved my other warriors up to help them, give some support. And the Jomsviking warlord happily standing there, not a scratch on him. And this is how it looked at the beginning of my opponent's turn. He decides to go in with his Hearthguard to try and take out my warlord. But my warlord, being the beast that he is today, slays him where he stood. So at the start of my turn, that's how it's looking. And due to the dice I rolled, I'm rolling 3 dice now because I've got 1 warrior unit and my warlord. I didn't get any dice to move my warrior unit, so they were just stuck there. So at the moment I've put all the dice in to move my warlord up and try and get him into a position where he can help out. And my opponent decides death or glory and goes the way of the Jomsviking, and his warlord charges in against my warriors. But he is finally slain, taking 3 warriors with him. And that was the end of the game. That was a really good game. I enjoyed that. I've not tried this scenario before. Definitely be doing it again. And the Anglo-Saxons, they're okay. I think they're going to struggle at 4 points because I lose my abilities pretty quick. But in a 6-pointer, I think they're going to be good fun. Thanks again for watching. Please subscribe and like the video. Keep supporting it, and I'll keep trying to make them. Sorry for those of you guys who know the rules anyway and had to watch the explanation bits, but it's just to help out those who have not tried Saga yet and hopefully might get them interested. Okay guys, thanks again. Farewell.